So it's Tina
and Pony's
birthday today, so we're dedicating the day to them.
Yay!
I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And today is also Tina Bonita's birthday.
Happy birthday!
It's not Tina's birthday. It was actually Tina's birthday like weeks ago.
I know, but we're losers and horrible friends and
yeah. So hopefully we're doing Tina's song in order to curry some sort of favor.
Yep. Appease the gods.
Appease the gods. Tina's helped us with like Thanksgiving turkeys and shit.
I know. I don't cook a Thanksgiving turkey without thinking of Tina. Okay, anytime I brine, it's Tina. Yeah, Tina's on my mind. Apple. That was the big surprise. You could put apple in that shit. And it comes out good.
Oh, turkey?
Apples.
Also, like when you were breaking all that stuff down to me about the apples and stuff, that was Tina?
That was some of her information, yeah.
Ah, I see. Oh, I see what you're saying now. There's a butt.
There's a butt in this album cover.
That's very strange.
I always wonder, I wonder if it's the same thing.
How do you advertise for the model?
That's what I was gonna say.
Need a very pale, skinny woman for a butt.
Is it his wife? Is he like, babe, I think I'm gonna put your ass on the album cover? Like what? How does this conversation happen?
Anywho, Akercocke-Becoming the Adversary. Let's go.
All right.
Oh, speed. Death metal. Ever thought? Like protect bad guys.
They literally have no clue where we are in the song, though.
That's epic. Interesting. Guitarist not playing with y'all. I'm pumping you with the speed talk tool.
What? I like that. Going so fast.
Guitarist is a freaking space alien. This guy's ridiculous.
Well, that was an interesting one.
That guitarist is on another level. That guy is probably the best. That was probably the best guitar performance I've heard in 2021 so far. So far.
I'm in a very odd mood.
Yeah, you are. It should make for an interesting night.
Yeah, it should. Maybe we'll have a good night or fight. You know what?
So
usually the songs that Tina likes are usually like, well, no, they all kind of have like some crazy vocal in there. But then there are some of them that are like kind of like a droney. This one was really interesting how many times it changed.
There are millions of rhythm changes.
Yeah,
like,
some of them were really fun. I really liked.
Yeah, I gave up on trying to figure out what the. I don't understand why vocalists do this. Like, I understand death vocals. Mm-hmm. I don't understand, like, making it literally impossible to know what the person's saying.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, are they saying this or not? So I was in this situation. I'm not going to give you guys the details, but I had to say a certain thing that I didn't want to say. And so instead, I said something else, but I made it sound like the other thing.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does matter. You just make the same sound.
It doesn't matter. So, like, yeah, like, I understand death vocal. Like, we've heard all the different ranges of vocal. I just don't understand, like, and it was so low, like I didn't know what you were like. What are you saying?
I know
at all. Like,
I know.
Even I had the lyrics in front of me. There was no
I
shot.
couldn't find it. I was like, And usually I do this thing when I can't find. I go like this in front of the. But I knew.
And then I showed.
Yeah, he usually highlights it when I do
I'll
that.
say, oh, it's
yeah,
over
it's
here.
right over there. He didn't know.
I didn't know. Yeah. I just. So, like, I legitimately, like, for example, like Slipknot, right? Like, especially when you first listen to, like, the first Slipknot record, you have no idea what he's saying. But when you have the lyrics in front of you and then you hear it, it's
then
like, okay, this, you can't even do that. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. Unless they're just trying to make the vocals, like, you know, the notes in the vocals is part of the instrumentation, and then you kind of fill in the blanks.
It could be. Well, I know that there was one part where I was like, oh my gosh, that's a really good line. Now I don't remember what it was that I thought I heard.
Yeah.
And then I went to look for the words, and I'm like looking for the two endings the two lines that were back to back, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, yo, I just made that up in my head. That wasn't in the lyrics at all.
Yeah, and like. It's okay. So lyrically, the Dark Lord shall wipe all tears from her eyes. That's obviously an inversion of Revelation when it talks about it, and the Lord Himself will wipe the tears from their eyes, which is actually. I had a sermon on that.
For He said unto me, it is done, or it is finished.
Right, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, which is
Again, there was a lot.
Another phrase that's used in Revelation at the beginning and the end of Revelation. Actually,
I will give freely unto him. The Bible says, "Freely give, freely give." You've been given freely.
It's right there. That is the thirst of the fountain of the water of life. That's literally a combination of Revelation and Isaiah. So, like the first.
I cut you off. You're saying that you.
No, you're good. The first stanza is all.
I know. Yeah, it was pretty weird.
And then La Messe Noire.
What does that mean? Something with Messiah?
No. That's, the Mass.
Yeah.
Catholic Mass, and then noir means black, so I'm assuming that the Black Mass. You know what I mean? Like the satanic, ritual, whatever.
Too deep without waking.
Yeah. To deep, not too deep. To as in directionally. From the to deep without waking, from the dream of brief life, to become as one with the harbinger of truth and balance, purity and sensuality. In the palace of perversity, to call the names of the gods of the abyss without fear, to be one with the Father. Okay, so these guys are saying that their father is the devil.
Mm-hmm. Offered thrice to Baphomet.
Yeah. Spirit of unholy progress. Yeah, that's see. If I was on like Team Satan, if I was on Team Satan, like if I was a Satanist, I would be extremely annoyed about the fact that my religion would be completely based off of the enemy's religion.
I would too.
So like even if you're inverting it, you're still derivative from it.
I don't know. I could see both. One is you'd be like, wow, really? That we're just an inversion of that? Or another one is like, like that rebelliousness that's so everything that you do, I'm going to flip it.
Yeah, but you can only rebel against an authority.
Well,
so like this isn't all of this is a concession that there is an authority above you that you're derived from. That would be like, to me, that would be like, I would want something completely and totally like foreign from that. I wouldn't want all this inversion stuff. Like, I guess, people are going to take this the wrong way, but what can you do? Like, I guess, like, when you're a teenager, you do everything your mom and dad tell you not to do, whether or not you want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like, don't smoke. You're like, oh, I'm going to go smoke because they said not to.
I wasn't really like that as a teenager, but...
Yeah, well, most teenagers are like that. Like, don't smoke, well, I'm going to go smoke. Don't do this, I'm going to go do it. Like, you're like doing everything the opposite of what your parents want. Even like, oh, you always loved the red thing. I thought red was your favorite color. No, bitch, black is my favorite color now. It's like... No, really, red's your favorite color, but she's so now you have to do.
Said it, I can't.
Now you have to do the opposite of everything, and if my mom was really like not in the throes of like going to jihad with me, like she would have been
manipulated you.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, Dorian is so easily.
I was talking to you about that the other day.
He is so easy to read and manipulate. So, like that's why like I don't really feel like. I haven't really gone through a lot of teenage rebellion with Dorian. I've gone through, in my opinion, reactions to trauma with Dorian. but not teenage.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Because he's too easy. It's too easy to just.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So like, if I was God, I'd be like, oh, okay. Well,
Johan's more the one that does the opposite.
Johan does what he wants.
Yeah.
Like, and you'll be like, why did you do that?
That's true. It could be what you wanted.
You'll say, why did you do that? He'll say, well, I just told myself. Like, that to me is like the ultimate, like, that's the ultimate Satanism. Like, because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So if it just so happens that what he wants to do coincides with your will as a parent, then mashallah tabaraka.
Yeah,
hey!
worked out for you.
But if it doesn't, he's going to do it, and he's going to bear the consequences. Like, I've seen him, and he'll just kind of look at you, and he's got that look, like, what are you going to do to me? But, like, he's just going to do what he wants to do. Like, that...
I think you're right, though. I think that he like... I'm doing it.
Oh, he does the arithmetic, yeah.
Yep. And I think that arithmetic happens really fast.
Yeah, Dorian is not like that. There's a lot of things that go into the decisions that Dorian makes.
Oh my gosh.
Most of them have to do with people's perception of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like, he's just so easy to do that. So all I'm saying is, like, I would be extremely annoyed if I was...
Dorian's 15 and Johan is 12.
If I was like a Satanist, like a theistic Satanist, or it doesn't even matter what type of Satanist. Like, I would be.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I'd be like, come on, guys. Like,
let's come up with our own thing here.
Yeah, like why are we?
Yeah.
You know, why are we
yeah, because it gives validity to the other religion.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
All the characters and stuff, they all come from this religion, this God that you supposedly hate.
Yeah.
But like you're making reference to Baphomet and all these other people, and Azazel and the Pit and all these all come from the bad guys or the good guys, whatever you want to call them. So like, what's going on? Like, how does this help the cause? How does this help the cause of rebellion? Is what I would say. But I think a lot of people. But at the same time, like, a lot of Christians don't look at it that way. Like, a lot of Christians look at it like. Like, they look at it like they get triggered by it, which is what a lot of people expect to happen to us when we listen to these songs. But we've seen the face of Satan, and it's not this caricature of all this stuff where, oh, great Lord of dark, blah 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 blah. Like, face of Satan is a lot more pedestrian than that. It's a guy, like for example, like the most satanic thing I've probably seen all year is this whole QAnon stuff, where it's literally one or two people maybe that have created this entire web of conspiracy theories that have, in my opinion, led to people's deaths, and the whole thing was bullshit. And I just picture a guy in his basement saying, oh, we're going to just make this stuff up and see if people go with it. And then it metastasizes into this 5 million person obsession where people then get convinced of something that is completely and totally fallacious with no proof whatsoever. And then then they get stuck in this sort of heuristic where, like, you really can't disprove it. Like, even, yesterday after the inauguration, a lot of them are like, oh, we were lied to, blah, but there's, like, still a bunch of true believers that are like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, if it was not for QAnon, obviously there's a lot of blame to go around for what happened on the 6th, but if it was not for QAnon, that wouldn't happen, and those 5-6 people that died would be alive today if it wasn't for that. Like, that to me is a face of Satan. Like, and again, I just picture some guy in his basement going, you would not believe what's happening right now. Like, these people really believe this shit. And then, then it blows up into something that maybe the guys that created it didn't anticipate. And and then there's a whole bunch of psychological, like, how does that happen with people, and what does that mean? And, I'm trying to tread very carefully because there's people that I care about that are caught up in it and all the rest of it. But it's like, that to me is a face of Satan. Like, that sort of, like, subtle, but obviously not really that subtle, because on the outside looking in it looks obvious. But once you get the hook in, and it's kind of deceptive and hypnotic, right? It's kind of like, ooh, something other people don't know, and everybody else is like, asleep. You know.
Elitist mentality.
You could say it's elitist, or you could look at it like people who've been rejected their whole life, or never picked on the basketball team or whatever.
Yeah.
You get some sort of like, oh, I'm in the know now type of situation, and it validates something within you that was needed validation. You know, it's the closest I could come to it, but. That to me is satanic, like that preying on people's, you know, say what you want, gullibility, psychological trauma, whatever you want, whatever like goes into a person who, you know.
Yeah.
And that type of thing
it's not right.
Is like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, like the Gnosticism. Like, so the big thing with Gnosticism in the first century was. We've got this hidden secret wisdom, you know, and so that's why Paul says, you know, in Colossians that all the wisdom is hidden in Christ, is because he was playing on the word, because they were saying they had hidden wisdom, but the hidden wisdom was outside of apostolic teaching, and Paul is saying no, you know, and it's the same thing where Jesus in the letters to the churches where he talks about these people that hold the deep things of Satan, and obviously. They were not coming to the church saying, we have the deep things of Satan. They were saying, we have the deep things of God.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Jesus is just, he's calling it Satan, just like the synagogue of Satan, right? So, like, it's this idea, and it's kind of been there, and really, if you think about it, since the beginning, tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's like, I have knowledge that nobody else has that I can give to you.
Yep.
And it's not coming from the authorized source. So, there's the people above don't want you to know. And if you look at QAnon, that's literally the draw, right? It's the people that have the authority figures. They don't want you to have this information, but we have it. No, there's no way to prove that I have this information. And there's, you know, I'm remaining anonymous for obvious reasons, but you now have the secret knowledge nobody else knows. And it's led people to their deaths. And the other thing about this whole QAnon thing is, like, I know people who are really, like, fucked up over this thing. So now I'm thinking to myself, how many people killed themselves yesterday?
Oh my gosh.
Think about it. When you think about the confluence of like COVID, if you think about COVID,
inauguration, that's true.
And all the unrest that everybody's experienced and the isolation, and there was a community. That was the other thing is like one of the main guys in the community, it was a very strange thing where he basically said like, well guys, he basically said, after the inauguration he was sworn, because there was this big conspiracy that all those troops were there because Trump was going to get on the stage and say seize them and take them all to Gitmo. That was the big, you know, and they were holding out for that. So Biden's, you know, Trump leaves, you know, to Frank Sinatra, I Did It My Way, which is unbelievable.
He did?
Yeah. That's how he exited the White House, and then Biden swears in, right? And then like it became clear. So then this guy basically says, "Well, guys," and then he basically said, "We had a good time together while it lasted, and we had a blast, and blah blah blah." And I'm like, you just let all hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people into this nonsense, and that's how you're... Like, I guarantee you people killed themselves over this bullshit yesterday.
There's probably people that are...
guaranteed.
They haven't even been found yet.
Guaranteed. Because it really gave them a sense of purpose, because they were like, there's a secret cabal of satanic child molesters, and... you know, Pelosi and Hillary and then Trump was the chosen one. He was going to get them all arrested, and this is all, he was playing a long game. And then they were reading the tea leaves. It's just insane. But, like, that to me is the work of Satan. Like, none of this, like, hocus pocus. No, like, that shit. Fucking with people's minds, making them believe in alternate realities, secret knowledge and wisdom that nobody knows, and then it's unverifiable and whatever, just like... That is satanic. It leads people to kill and leads people to die, and it leaves people in a lot of anxiety and turmoil right now, and there's no accountability for any of it. Yep. The only people that got held accountable are the poor people that's, you know, that's why, like, people were, like, angry at me because I'm like, you know, God bless poor Ashley Babbitt and all the rest of them, and they're like, man, this woman had no love for any of our people, bro. Like, this woman was, and I'm like, I know that, but at the end of the day, she took a bullet for bullshit. She died for a lie. And that's just a waste of a life. Like, her other issues, like, fine. But like, that to me that's the face of Satan to me.
And the other thing too is, didn't she serve?
Yeah, she served 14
so
years.
I always
14
tours. Years.
4 tours.
I just feel like that even if she's, you know, completely in the wrong or completely crazy or whatever, like it doesn't.
I don't care.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody sacrificed 14 years for you and for your freedoms, like, just shut up. You don't have anything to say against her. Like, how can you say something against her when you've sat at home in the comfort of your own home and you haven't endured any of that?
Well, the response would be, we've endured this shit on the streets with the police, and I understand that. And my thing is, there's enough accountability for people who've done that, and the death penalty is not the penalty for people who took the wrong side of the George Floyd protests. Like, somebody dying is not the penalty for that. And the other sad thing is, if you die in your 30s, you don't get to grow past whatever bullshit ideology you have anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't believe that these are just innocent people, but I do believe that they were duped. And that they got sent off to their deaths by
What do you mean people dying in the
cowards.
streets? Am I getting confused with the stories here? What's going on?
Well, I shot another video and I said, God bless poor Ashley Babbitt. And somebody messaged me, a black dude messaged me. He's like, yo, this woman was like, had crazy shit to say about Breonna Taylor. This woman said, she was not on our side. And I said, duh.
Yeah.
Like, anybody that took part in that crazy insurrection obviously was not on our side. But I don't care, because like I said, the death penalty is not the appropriate response to being on the wrong side of the Breonna Taylor or George Floyd situation. And so, like, that's not going to disqualify her from my own sense of empathy, because I believe that she was self-radicalized and brainwashed, and she was sent to her death by actors who were using her as a pawn. Whether spiritual actors, as dark intelligences as I call them, or actors like Trump and Giuliani and all the rest of it. Like, I'm not going to get political about it, but like, that to me is the work of Satan. You know, like, that is the real devil. Like, this other stuff, like, it triggers people, but when you've been around the world and you've seen things, like, you know the true face of evil. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that QAnon thing to me, man, is like completely satanic, because it's like the people that spread this lie and really damaged our country and helped to turn our countrymen against each other. Like, there's absolutely zero accountability whatsoever. And then the people that are fighting it, and they're so intelligent, because they're turning this whole Parler thing like, oh, they deplatformed our app. It's like, this was a primary recruiting tool for these people and their satanic ideology. Yeah. And they've turned it into a free speech discussion instead of we need to track these motherfuckers down and hold them accountable for purposely inciting riotous behavior. Yeah. Like, that's not even a question right now. Like, one of those guys, I read it in the Middle America thing, like, this guy literally said it's on. Be ready to sacrifice your life. And he had all these silly people talking about how they were going to show up with their guns and all this bullshit, and they were ready to die and all this and that and yada yada yada, and it was time to go and all this. And it's like, nobody's having the real conversation, which is, how liable are these people? Because now it's just a free speech. Brilliant. I tip my hat to them, but it's also, the serpent was more crafty than all the beasts in the field that the Lord God had made. That's obvious. So, anyway, I love the metal, though. Couldn't hear a damn word the guy was saying. It's a 9.2 for me.
Well, I could hear some of it toward the end, the different parts of it.
Well, there was a couple clean vocals, but I couldn't get it.
But the other stuff, woo. Okay, so, 9.2, sure. 9.2.
Happy birthday to the big homie Tina. Much love. Been out.
Sorry out.
Gone. QAnon's fake. Don't believe it.
Hey villagers, this is Archero, and I'm inviting you to the Village March Madness Tournament. We're doing this as a fundraiser and to get together as a community and have a little bit of fun. If you're not familiar with March Madness, it is a 64-team college basketball tournament. The teams all play in single elimination round tournament style. Final winner is going to be the national champion. There's going to be a page set up on the ESPN website where you can make your guesses who's going to win each game. And we'll have a private group set up just for our village to compete against each other and see who predicted the winners best. To participate, it only costs $1. and all of that is going to go to help other villagers who are in need right now. This is all going to be happening in mid-March. More details are coming very soon about the dates, prizes, and how to join. I'll see you guys there. Keep it metal.